Welcome back to a very special edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi. Our very special guest today is Sharron Angle from Nevada. And Sharron, we were talking about unions. Now, Nevada's a right-to-work state, so really it shouldn't be that much of a problem in Nevada with your teachers' unions and your public sector unions, right?
Well, right-to-work is a good thing to have in any state, because what it says is you do not have to join a union in order to get a job. But that doesn't take union influence out of your state. It isn't the silver bullet. There are no silver bullets. You know, people think, well, for voter fraud, if you just have ID at the polls, that's the silver bullet. It isn't. People think that if you have campaigns that are funded by everybody gets the same funding. Well, that would be the silver bullet. That's not the silver bullet. There are no silver bullets in our society. The silver bullet really is personal integrity. And so unions actually take advantage of fear that goes on. You know, people are afraid for their jobs. They think they need an advocate. And really that was why unions were instituted in the first place, was to have an advocate with management. But they have really overstepped that complete role, and now they've gone so deeply into a political agenda that we are seeing not just politics being influenced, but nearer, closer to home. What are we paying for with our tax dollars that has been negotiated by union folks, and usually behind closed doors? They don't like to have this open to the public. Well, they don't want their negotiations to be open to the public, and there's reasons on both sides why you wouldn't want those negotiations to be open. But still, it takes the transparency away, and you get things coming out of those meetings that you would have never agreed to had you been there. You would have said, not me.
But isn't there the Open Meetings Act when there's negotiation, when it's pertaining to taxpayer dollars? Aren't all these school board meetings open when they're negotiating?
No, not necessarily. Usually what happens, at least what happened for us, is we had a negotiator that we hired from the district, and we asked him to go into the closed room. See, we couldn't do it as the school board, but the negotiator would go in with the union representative, and they would negotiate then a contract that they would just bring for approval to the board.
Okay.
And if we looked it over and looked through the negotiation and said, nah, we're not willing to do that, then we'd send them back to the table and say, this won't work. But you know, that part would be public.
Okay.
Our comment
but not the actual meetings.
But not the actual meeting.
That's pretty scary.
The thing on its face, public unions should not exist. Public unions is a conflict of interest.
Yes.
You know, private unions it's an adversarial relationship between the union and a board that's trying to protect the company. But in public unions, when you're dealing with the government, isn't government the one that writes the election, the labor laws?
You know, when you begin to talk about government, and this is a sad comment on what has happened to us as a people, we are supposed to be the government.
Right. We the people.
The people. And yet it has gone so far down the road now that we think of the government as them and we the people as us. We have now begun to sit under a governmental form that is dictatorial in many ways because we don't see them as us. And that, I think, is the point of your objection, is if we the people are the government and we the people are working for we the people, why do we need to be unionized?
Right.
Aren't we working against ourselves in this thing?
That's exactly right. And you end up having an incestuous relationship because the union throws millions of dollars towards who gets to be their boss. And when you have such a strong lobby like that, the lobby is the one that you end up catering to instead of the taxpayers. The problem in Illinois, which is why we have $160 billion unfunded pensions, is because there's been no one standing up representing the taxpayers.
And yet our government is us in our philosophy of government. And so there's something that has disconnected here. And I think that's really gets back to our beginning discussion about what has caused this grassroots movement. It's because we finally realized that we're not we the people anymore, the government. We're somehow being dictated to, and we don't like it much.
I think the people don't love politics and the political process. And I think maybe we, the people, abdicated for a while, where it was like, okay, I'll just vote this way and I'll get what I want that way. But remember, Barack Obama came from Illinois, but so did that Rick Santelli rant. So it isn't all bad here in Illinois.
Well, and I think that we can see that across the United States. You know, I love to, my neighbors to the west in California, they're so frightened about what's going on in their state, but they are the state of Reagan, remember. So there is that going on all across the nation.
2012 is coming soon. We'll be back after the break.